it is very important that you have a responsive website. What that means is basically as the screen size changes, your content should change, like this one. So with this piece of bread, the bread is too big for the bowl, but the bread doesn't change. This one, it's responsive. It responds to the change in the bowl, so the bread itself changes to fit within the bowl. With responsive web design, it's basically the same thing. You have the content on your website. Well, if someone looks at that same website on a smaller screen, if it doesn't change, then this is how it's going to look. You can't see all the content. You'd have to scroll over to see the rest of the content, and it's just hard to navigate around. Whereas with a responsive website, as the screen gets smaller, the layout of the content changes so that it fits on the screen well. And having a responsive website is extremely important because, tons of people are browsing the internet on their phones, and you want them to have a great experience when they come across your website. But in addition, Google notices how often people are using their phones to browse the internet, and they will actually penalize you as far as SEO goes if you do not have a responsive website. So it's important that you make sure you have a responsive website. Be responsible and be responsive. Okay, yeah, that wasn't funny at all. But luckily, most WordPress themes are already responsive, so you don't have to worry about too much, but you still want to test your website, test the theme as far as putting it on a smaller screen and such, to make sure that it is responsive and that it works when you have your content in there and stuff. Because sometimes, I don't know, you can put a plugin, or there's different things you can do to make your website not work as it should. So you should always test to make sure it's responsive. And so to kind of demonstrate what a responsive website is going to do, this is a responsive website. So as I make the screen smaller, watch what happens to the content inside. Okay, so it's getting smaller, smaller. So first the columns just started shrinking, but now, it's starting to change layout. Things are moving around. It's responding to the smaller screen size. So that's what a responsive website will do. It's pretty cool actually to see it just change and adapt to the size of the screen. So, that's one way to test how responsive your website is, just make the window smaller. But also, like I showed you with the developer tools, I can just right click, inspect element, hit the toggle device mode, and I'll put an iPhone 6, hit refresh. And then here I can see what it would look like on an iPhone 6 or a mobile device. So this is a great way to test the responsiveness of your website. You should also, test it on your phone. If you have another computer with bigger screen or something, that's always nice because, you never know. It might look good on this iPhone 6 emulator, but when you try it on your actual iPhone 6, it looks slightly different. So it's always good to make sure. But this is a pretty cool and useful tool to test to see how it looks on all sorts of different mobile devices, to make sure that it is in fact fully responsive and that it works the way you want. And I just click and drag to scroll as if I was doing it with my finger. So yeah, that's what responsive web design is. Make sure your website is responsive, test that, and then it'll look good on any device.